welcome to the Guerrilla Branders podcast. This is the direct response and social media marketing podcast for bootstrapping entrepreneurs. My name is Ian Utilli. Jarrell, why don't you introduce yourself?
Jarrell Hall, how you guys doing?
Aaron Hine, what's up?
We're excited that you joined us. This is our second podcast, and we're ready to dive in deep on a few things. Today, we're going to talk specifically about direct response as well as social media marketing. So, social media, we got our thumbs up, the like symbol. We're going to talk a bit about that. How do you leverage social media marketing? And then specifically, direct response, list building.
I'm glad that's not the middle finger.
I know, right? It would just like, it would stay there the whole episode.
Yeah, well, one thing, first of all, just a safety thing to talk about. Don't sit on the like button.
Thank you for that.
Don't do that. Don't sit on the like button.
It won't make a lot of sense for people that are only listening to the podcast, but for those that are viewing
you won't like it
on YouTube,
you won't like it. It's true.
I'm not going to be able to look at this thing the entire episode.
I know. It's a safety thing, but you know you just got to put out the warnings.
Okay, no, I appreciate.
Let's dive in.
Hold on.
Direct response. Direct response.
Okay.
So talk to us. Let's just get in on it. Talk to us about list building right now.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean a big part. First of all, if you haven't heard of what direct response is, you know, start researching some of the greats. I mean, for me, my first introduction to it was through Dan Kennedy, just a wonderful direct response marketer, a great copywriter. But basically what direct response is all about, if you divide marketing into kind of two categories, you have brand building or image advertising, and that's what most of us have been exposed to. That's what I was exposed to when I was a small business owner. Okay, do Valpak coupons, do your Yellow Pages ad, and you can apply direct response techniques to those different avenues. But this is more the getting your name out there type of marketing. Okay. Here's a billboard of me, Aaron Hine. I happen to be a real estate agent. Call me because I'm great. You know, I mean, that's traditional advertising, right? And a few businesses, if they have enough coin, can get away with that, like the swoosh, Nike, they're Apple. Anybody? There's certain companies that have massive brands and they can do that type of image advertising. For most of us out there, especially the bootstrapping entrepreneur. That is the biggest waste of money that you could possibly. You might as well take all your money and your savings, put it in a pile, light it on fire, and let's have a bonfire with $100 bills. Because that's how quick you're going to blow through your money if you're trying to build a brand as a bootstrapping entrepreneur, small business owner.
Yeah, no way.
So, in contrast to that, direct response advertising means that I am spending $1 on a particular type of advertising where I am reaching out directly to you with some type of an offer, and you are directly responding to me to that offer in a very trackable way, so I know exactly where the dollars that were spent, I know exactly the revenue that was generated from that, and it's a way that you can dial in your marketing so that you can put $1 in and it produces $5 out. Okay, does that make sense? That makes a lot more sense to me than, oh, keep running this ad even though you haven't seen an uptick in any of your business or sales because you gotta get your name out there.
Well, it kind of gives you an interesting example because I was watching something on direct response marketing, and it was funny because the guy actually related it directly to kind of selling albums out of your trunk. You know, very kind of guerrilla styles, sorry the puns, but it's more direct to your customers. You know what's going in, you know what's going out, and you're doing it bare minimum. You're out there, hey, you're trying to get it out there, you're trying to develop that entire brand based off of I have to get out there and do it myself. So
well, the best way to build a brand as a bootstrapper is through sales, right? And direct response marketing is all about generating sales. Okay, so today specifically what I want to talk about around the direct response world is list building. List building is really the cornerstone for any effective marketer or business. And if you're in a business and you have this attitude like, oh, I mean, a lot of people in my previous profession, so I was a very successful sports chiropractor in Santa Cruz for over 10 years. and had a great practice. And you know, a lot of people that are you know, kind of in professional industries, they, you know, they think that, well, I'm too proud to advertise or to do any of this type of marketing. And here's my argument to that. Look, if you're as good, your product or service is as good as you think it is, you have an obligation to get it out to the world. An obligation, okay? So if you're the best, say you're some type of a scientist or a chemist, and you have the cure for cancer, okay? I have the cure for prostate cancer. And nobody knows about it, and nobody can use that, and is that doing the world any good?
Right.
Yeah.
No good, right? It's doing nobody any good because you haven't distributed it to the people that are in need. Well, that process of distributing or selling that information is what marketing is all about. So get off your marketing high horse if you think that, you know, a lot of people revert back like, oh, sales marketing, I'm thinking of a used car dealer that ripped me off. We're talking about ethical marketing practices and us being obligated as entrepreneurs to get our product and service in as many hands as possible. So,
well, I have a question about that. I like that you mentioned the fact that, you know, ethical, because, you know, a lot of people, when they think about marketing advertising, they do think about the, you know, the shady car salesman or the door-to-door, you know, because although door-to-door is pretty much phased out, you still even see it nowadays. What is the mindset?
I love door-to-door, by the way.
I did it. You know, I used to sell AT&T U-verse door-to-door. A lot of people don't know that. It's kind of weird.
You look at the most successful entrepreneurs, most of them have had to do direct sales, either door-to-door or the phone.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done Kirby vacuums and a couple of...
Did you?
Yes, I did.
That's a good vacuum. I got the picture for it.
It's great.
I regress. Go ahead.
It's all right. But, you know, so what is the mindset in terms of even, I guess you could say 7 years ago, especially when social media started to really do its upturn versus now of how people look at marketing? Because I think the mindsets nowadays are really different. Marketing used to be one of those, okay, it has to be the big ass, the commercials, the door-to-door, the things like that. Now it's a tweet. It's a post. It's a, you know, short, quick clip. And how has that really kind of changed how we even think about marketing, especially when it comes to direct?
Right. So it's a great question. It's interesting because anyone that's real familiar with direct response or anyone that's real familiar with social media will look at these two and go, well, aren't those like two kind of opposite camps? I mean, you know, social media is more like, you know, building your quote-unquote brand and your audience, and direct response is, you know, kind of the exact opposite. And how are you doing a podcast on both? Well, we're going to talk about monetizing your social media, okay? And utilizing a lot of, you know, direct response type approaches to social media. So, you know, back to list building. Again, it's the cornerstone of all appropriate kind of marketing campaigns. You got to have a list to market to. So where do we get our initial list? I think last week you spoke about, you know, starting with your immediate circle of influence, friends and families and that kind of thing. Well, we all have an email database, okay? We all have contacts that we've done business with that are family members. That's the beginning of your list. So if you don't have a quote-unquote list yet for your product or service, that is your list. That's the beginning of your list, okay? And so anytime we're coming in contact with people, that could be a potential consumer, that we could provide value to them, we want to constantly be thinking about, I need to add them to my database. And having a good CRM, some type of a database management software will save, you know, years off of your life. I mean, when I first started this, I literally had a index card file flip.
Oh, the Rolodex,
even after Rolodex, in my direct response as far as follow-ups concerned, it's like, oh, make sure you know, call so-and-so on the 15th. Well, you know, every time I open up the 15th in my little 3x5 index cards, you know, oh, there's my task for that day. So now everything is digitized, and there's some great software out there that everybody, you know, knows about, Constant Contact, Infusionsoft, and depending on what your needs are.
Well, let's run through a few of these for list building. So you have the email ones. So you have the Constant Contact, Mad Mimi, Benchmark Mail, Vertical Response. The list goes on and on. You have the traditional CRM system. So this is, Salesforce and all the subs under Salesforce, right? You have the inbound marketing tools. You have HubSpot and all of HubSpot's competitors. Infusionsoft has really come on the market big, as you mentioned. You also have Nimble, right? This the social CRM. So there's all these tools. You could use Gmail. You could use Outlook. There's so many different ways to go about developing a list and then taking that list and segmenting it and then doing something of value with it.
Right.
For direct response, you talk about list building. To talk a bit about social media marketing, here's the thing. I run a branding company. So branding guys usually wouldn't sit down and talk about ROI or direct response or any of these types of things, because traditionally branding companies have said, give us 7 figures of your ad budget and we'll have people know about you. What we've done here is the goal is not to be the best at what we do with social media. The goal is to be the only one that does exactly what we do with social media. And what that is building massive awareness. We call it the social media tsunami. Okay, so that's what we call it. It's to build massive awareness about a product, a brand, a hashtag, a picture, a video, you name it. Whatever it is you're trying to get in front of an audience that doesn't know about you. We want to build massive awareness around that. And so you can do that now, social media, because the way we can automate things with software tools that we've never had the opportunity to do before. And social media marketing is a great way to complement the list building that all the direct response guys are trying to do.
Yeah, so you talked about once you're starting to build your list, segmenting the list. Well, why would I want to segment the list? Well, I have certain consumers of our product line that is B2C, meaning our business sells direct to consumers. We have other consumers that are B2B. We sell to other businesses. Well, the marketing and the relationship and how we talk to and the price point from a business to another business is different than from a business direct to consumer. Or maybe I have distributors that I'm dealing with. So it's very important that once you start building your list, you build these different buckets. And each of the buckets, and the buckets sometimes cross over, but each of the buckets exists a different type of prospect or customer or relationship. Okay? And that will dictate how we market to those people. And let me just add one more quick point. When building the list isn't all about just spamming all your friends and family and contacts with like, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Look, we're not trying to just scream as loud as we can here and have people block us or delete us or opt out of our email list or our snail mail list, okay? What we're trying to do is provide value. Okay? We're trying to provide as much value as possible. So if I have a bucket list of friends that are of contacts, and I know that they like downhill skiing and some new cool skis or something comes out or a cool video or something, that would be appropriate to send to that list. It wouldn't be appropriate to send to my other list that are soccer players or CrossFitters or whatever it is. So knowing the more descriptive you can be in your lists and your buckets, the more targeted you can be in your direct response marketing. So imagine I had a billboard on the side of the freeway, and it said, hello, are you a young entrepreneur with a brand, a marketing startup company with young kids at home and a beautiful wife and wear glasses and have a nice Sean Connery looking beard? Exactly. And what are you going to be obligated? If so, call right now or go to go to this landing page. What you want to do is get people to raise their hand, and that's the whole point in direct response marketing, is getting people to raise their hand and say, yeah, that's me, and providing them very solid value for raising their hand. Don't be afraid to give stuff away for free.
Well, my next question to you, especially, for entrepreneurs that may have the same question, is how do you then collect that data? How do you find out who's in your market, who's close, who's, medium distance, who's long distance?
Yeah, this is where a lot of the social media can come into play too, which is great, especially when we're looking at like Facebook, and maybe you can talk about, some of how you can start to differentiate, your list and people that are raising their hand by, using the various tools that exist. But you're right, that should be other differentiators by state, by not just by interests or business classification, but by state and geography and so.
Yeah.
So to talk a bit about that, there are a lot of tools. Okay, so companies like Rapleaf.
Yes.
Is a tool that basically you give them an email and you can have them fill up, they can take an Excel list, you give them 100 emails, they can literally fill up like 100 different Excel columns with where the person lives, what age they are, what gender they are, what kind of car they drive, what kind of school they went to, what kind of income they have. So you could have, like, for instance, I think I've collected all together over the last 15 years, the businesses that I've built, personally, I've probably collected 70,000 emails. There's not that many guys that have collected 70,000 emails unless they're really serious about list building. Now, do I know who all these emails are anymore? No, a lot of them have gone stale. But if I wanted to, I could take the 70,000 emails, give them to a company like Rapleaf, and they will just basically pump out a bunch of information. A more significant player is Reportive. So inside Gmail, inside Outlook, inside these different email systems, you can tag in Reportive, and on the right side of the column, it'll actually have, when they have the email that you scroll over, it'll have the person's picture, their Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn pages, and all the information. It's just Reportive. Yeah, you go to Reportive, it's like a plugin.
Okay.
Another one is the social media tools. So you're talking about Twitter has their own tools to help us understand what we can get out of what we have an incomplete list, and they can fill in the gaps, right? Facebook can do this. Google AdWords can certainly do this, and there's a lot of social media sites. So let me just talk a bit about that for a second, because it's important to understand that there's not one player, there's not three main players, there's hundreds of options, but to me there's 5 core players in the social media sphere that you can build lists from if you're very mindful about how to do it. And there's 5 sub-players in my opinion. And this is general. B2B and B2C, if you break it up separately, the list changes. So first of all, you got LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you have business pages, personal pages. It's great to reach customers. It's great to network. It's great to recruit. LinkedIn, I think, is going to be a bigger player over time, and it's going to start dwarfing everybody else because it's become a great publishing platform. I wouldn't be surprised if this podcast gets more play on LinkedIn than iTunes or YouTube or our website.
Well, that's in LinkedIn. I use a lot for B2B, business to business contacts.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's a great outreach tool. Go ahead.
Then you got Google Plus and YouTube, which are tied together. If you do a Google Plus page, you're doing a YouTube page and vice versa. You have about 1,000 characters in your About Us section to tell your message. And it's very video-centric. Obviously, they have the GIFs and the memes and the photos that you can do. And it's also affecting the search engines. Then you have the kind of the micro blogs, which is what I would consider both Facebook and Twitter to be, because people are not tuning into what you post on Facebook if it's long. Everyone wants you to treat Facebook like you treat Twitter. Short, to the point, something shareable. You have 160 characters to tell a message. You also, on all these 5 sites, you can affect the design, the aesthetic. You can put a banner and the avatar. The other 5 sites are significant to some businesses, but not to all. You have SlideShare, which LinkedIn owns, and SlideShare is like where you put PowerPoints and infographics and videos. You then have Pinterest and Tumblr, 2 totally different audiences. Tumblr is like a WordPress alternative. You build websites, you have blogs, and Pinterest, of course, you have kind of all this stuff, and we'll dive into these things eventually. My
wife loves Pinterest. I was like, I didn't really quite get it. I thought it was kind of a chick thing. I was like, I think they needed like a dude Pinterest.
But dude, the recipes that you've been posting have been blowing my mind.
Good, I'm glad.
And the clothes, the fashion, I had no idea that you're such a fashion.
She's got a whole section for me on things, little home projects you can make out of like pallets. Oh, don't you guys have extra pallets at the warehouse? Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, look, you can build this, and this out of pallets. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm like, so I've been peeking over her shoulder on the Pinterest thing, that's for sure.
Well, see, it's really cool that you guys mention a lot of these because, we work with these and use these all the time.
Right.
And the one thing about it that, we would tell you guys outside of making sure you take notes, because even we're taking notes and all the things that we're giving you guys, but all of these tools allow you to create different ways to engage your audience. Because you'll have people that only use LinkedIn. You have people that only use Gmail and YouTube. I mean, not Gmail, Google Plus. You have people that are just Twitter and Facebook, like, you know, loyalists. They won't get away from it. Then you have your SlideShare and your Pinterest and your Tumblr people, and learning how to create the right type of content or advertising and marketing to talk to those people is going to really learn how to leverage your business. Because even we see that every day of, you know, when you and I
and
talk
the biggest,
about,
I think, at least for our business, has been Instagram. Right?
Yes,
Because
Instagram
a lot of
is
people
another
are
one,
very
yes.
visual, and Instagram to me is like, you know, Twitter without the character limitations, but visual. And I'm a visual guy. Twitter has never been intuitive. Well, I only post to Twitter personally through Instagram. Because I find that, you know, the pictures are engaging. It's really good. It's good to you know, to post things that people not only are drawn to, but when they look at it, you can start to get interaction rate, and that's really what we're looking for.
Well, Instagram kind of does the whole proof of a picture is worth 1,000 words. You know, and that's where you get people making comments, like reposting and different things like that, because what it does is, like you said, it engages people.
Right.
Because it gives them a little preview of what are they doing? Yeah. What are they up to? Oh, that's what they've been up to. Or, you know, how do I see that? How do I see more of that? You
so
know?
what's the practical application or implication of some of these things? So, you know, if I've got a new product, let's back up even a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm at home, you know, I'm motivated. Maybe I started my own podcast from last week's episode. I'm getting this business going. Okay, I registered a Twitter, a Facebook, and an Instagram account. Okay, I'm going to start doing some list building, but my list isn't that big or deep. Yeah. What's the first thing I would do? Look, you can purchase lists.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can go to a list broker and just type in list broker in Google. It's going to bring up, I mean, it's better if you have some references or referrals, because some of the lists are not that good. Some of them are really good. So you want a reputable list broker. You get a reputable list broker and say, I'm selling, you know, XYZ widgets, which would be perfect for electricians that live in California.
Yeah.
Well, you can purchase a list of electricians that live in California. Okay, that list is available.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so if you don't have a big network or a list, you can purchase that list. Okay, and once you purchase that list, then we want to start implementing some techniques utilizing both direct response. So that would be sending specific offers via snail mail. Yes, I said snail mail. It still exists.
It still exists. Still works.
It works very well. It works very well.
Yeah.
Because the mailbox isn't nearly as cluttered as it used to be.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into copywriting and headlines and what the snail mail needs to look like. I mean, not to digress too much, but when you get a piece of mail in the mailbox, you know, you're going to be sorting, like many marketers have already said, you know, in your A list and your B list. Your B list is the circular file in the trash. You know, your A list is the stuff that gets opened. So if you think about it, and this is the same for email, if that subject line isn't right, you know, and you just get deleted, then you're defeated at hello. You can't even get your foot in the door. So think of, well, why, and think about this yourself at home. Why am I opening this piece of mail and throwing this away? What similarities does my open pile have? I'll tell you some. It looks like it's got a handwritten outside, or maybe it looks like some type of a bill. It's got a live stamp on it. You can start sorting and do this your own exercise. But you know, what are you opening and why are you opening certain pieces of mail? Same thing with email. Why am I opening this email and deleting this one? Why is this subject line in this email appealing to me? And not only am I opening it, but now I'm reading the body of the email. What are they saying that's engaging me enough to continue on? Okay, so if we're going to start with our own list. We can purchase a targeted list from a reputable list broker, and then how we integrate the social aspect of this is like, well, say I have this list of these individuals. Now I can start going on LinkedIn or use these various tools and finding out where these people's profiles are and then reaching out to them. Hey, I'd like to be friends with you on Facebook. Hey, let's connect on LinkedIn. Hey, I'm going to follow you on Instagram. And a lot of times you're going to get reciprocity and they're going to follow you back. So it's a way to start building relationships that are scalable.
Yes.
Relationships that are scalable. Very important.
That's right.
So how do I, create a personal relationship with thousands or tens of thousands of people? I can't do that knocking on doors one at a time, right? You do that through your list segmentation, reaching out through social media platforms, podcasting, right? Various tools.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You have done some of the most incredible direct response marketing on Instagram. I think oftentimes people are still thinking of Instagram as a photo-centric platform. And I think it's become more and more video-centric as well.
Sure.
You can put these 15-second box videos on Instagram, which, Facebook owns Instagram. Then Vine, which Twitter owns, has a little 6-second, videos. I think those are, by the way, the final two social platforms of the 10 that I talk about quite a bit. And what you guys have done, not just to build lists, but you have actually monetized, straight up been selling stuff because of your Instagram account.
Yeah, so I'll give a lot of credit to Beyond Marketing Group that helps us out with our social accounts, and I know that Gorilla does a great job working with their clients around their social accounts. Here's the key. Anytime you're starting to build a list, so you start getting a little traction. Oh, I hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. I'm up to 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. Focus on the customer or the prospect. Don't focus on me. If I'm only focusing on me, nobody gives a crap about you. They want what's in it for them.
That's right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So you always have to... Successful entrepreneurs understand that the psychology that exists in marketing and sales and the math. Okay, those are the two things those are the only things that matter: the psychology and the math. So if I'm looking to follow somebody on their account, it's because I've seen images or tweets or whatever it is that's engaging to me and my interests. Okay, so if you're starting to build this list, don't think that you're building the list to just sell and jam stuff down their throat.
No way.
I always follow the 90-10 rule. And the 90-10 rule says 90% you are going to be giving them quality content, 10% pitching.
Exactly.
Okay? So I'm only going to pitch Life Aid Beverage Company 1 out of 10 minutes of this podcast. No, just kidding.
Like you corrected that.
But if you got, say, an Instagram account, you want to put engaging, cool content 9 times out of 10, and maybe 8 times, 80, 20, 90, 10. But limit your pitches so people are like, wow, I really like this company. They got all this cool stuff going on. I really like their engaging pictures or tweets. And then 1 out of 10 times you said, oh, by the way, we've got a new product coming out. Check it out, or pre-order it here, or go to this website.
The product.
Right, and then people are like, wow, they've provided so much benefit to me because of this podcast or because of their social accounts I've been following, that, well, I imagine if I actually gave them money for something, it'd be really cool. So people are, their guard is down because you've already built rapport with them. And building that relationship is what it's all about.
No doubt about it.
Perfect.
Well, hey, we're wrapping up. We're at the end of the podcast now. So excited about next week. So next week we're going to get together again. We're going to really break down, okay, we have entrepreneurs, but our podcast isn't for entrepreneurs, it's for bootstrapping entrepreneurs. So next week we're going to really dive in, what is a bootstrapping entrepreneur versus just what we'd say a regular entrepreneur. We're going to really say, okay, this defines all entrepreneurs, but these specific qualities.
Exactly.
If you're listening to this podcast and you have these specific qualities, then you belong, right? You are with us.
You're gonna kick out everybody else.
And if you don't have these qualities, just don't let us know that you're listening. Just keep it quiet. Don't share on Facebook. Don't post anything on Twitter. Keep it down. We don't want people knowing that you're associated with us and stuff like that.
No, but that's kind of the cool thing about what we do here with you guys is we're going to be giving you guys, like I said before, even last week, a lot of cool information. And some of the things to take away from today, just look at the 5 key players of your social media sites. Look at your CRM list. One of the biggest things we want you guys to take away from this, and we will cover this in future podcasts, is the scalable relationships. That's something that we say more than once. That's a big piece.
Build your list. Start building your list.
Build your list with that.
Or buy it.
Yeah, or buy it.
Yeah, build
I'll say
or
your
both.
list.
Or both.
Exactly. So thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys next week.